Salute, y'all. Cheers.
Like, I was with these fucking stuff.
I feel like it's too glossy.
It's just like white.
Well, welcome to our Unfiltered Gems. We're calling this what?
I don't know. What are we calling this?
I don't know.
Holiday special, pre-Christmas
Xmas
interlude.
The Xmas interlude?
No, I'm not signing up with that.
We have this whole thing about calling it Xmas, and he doesn't like Xmas much. Not one bit. All the same though, my name is Malcolm Alexander.
And I'm Ryan Hale.
And today we're joined by two of our very amazing people.
I'll take it.
It just, to me at least.
How do you group together?
How do I do this? Because this was not. So for people that don't know much about the holiday special, this is we just decided there's a lot of topics that we want to cover. We're gonna have people that
live in LA.
He Hale's out here visiting, and I'm these are people very, very close and very close people to myself. And we'll get into
myself.
To myself. I'm gonna speak for me.
To my sense of self.
To my sense of self.
The accountability.
Yeah, exactly. I can't say that us. I don't know if you love Victoria the same way I love Victoria. I don't know if you love Malcolm the way I love Malcolm, but
we're on the up and up.
We see each other.
As we break the ice, tell me about your dating life.
Just diving right in.
Do you want to kick that off?
I don't.
Well, all right.
I don't know. If not, then I need to know.
No, we could talk about it.
Okay.
Let's say it. Okay. At Unfiltered Gems podcast everywhere. Thanks so much. Joined today by Victoria Janelle Wright, creative writer, all around incredible woman, philanthropist as well. Currently with Feather, her digital platform, with a lot of new things on the horizon within Feather and outside of Feather. I'm really excited about that. We also have my brother right here, my twin dog. The young, thespian, singer, songwriter, tennis aficionado,
the list goes on and on.
Model. Business owner.
100%.
Black King.
100%.
Here.
I was going to say,
Father.
To the plush lion dolls that are around his home. I mentioned that's been, professional alcoholic. You're just.
Is it a profession?
It is.
Pretty, yeah.
The way
I like to say enthusiast.
Enthusiast.
I'm enthusiastic
about
you can be
drinking.
the wine connoisseur. What do you call those?
Oh, that's a better word.
A sommelier.
Yeah.
Am I though? Because half the time I don't even know what I'm drinking.
Yeah, no.
This is almond.
It's good. I do like it. We want to cover a lot on our holiday special. We want to just have these really close, confined conversations with people close to us, with Ryan visiting, and just add more content to our listeners. And there's so much that has happened in this year, so much that has happened in our lives as creatives, just in general, whether you're in Los Angeles or not. But I just feel like as Black people, we've been experiencing things that pertain to mental health all throughout the year. And I think there's a changing narrative and a changing tide for how we individually experience it, but then also kind of collectively experience it. There is just the political ramifications of what's happening in our nation and in our world. And I think we feel things when it just comes to what does freedom really mean to us, as we ask these questions. And then of course, we want to know, where does love exist between all of that? Love for ourselves, love for, partners, love for family and siblings and parents. And so all throughout our holiday special, we're going to have a lot of different guests on. But I'm really excited to talk to you guys right now.
Same here.
Hey, it was great. It was a great open. I didn't want to ruin the moment.
It was an amazing opening.
It was.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
So where do we begin?
I like the dating question. You did dive right in there.
I did.
Should have led with the intro first, but
I know.
You should with dating.
Yeah.
Just dive right in there.
Yeah, that is true. Let's rip the Band-Aid off. Because it is cuffing season.
It is cuffing season.
It is cuffing season.
You said something this morning.
What did I say?
You mentioned something about dating last night and then this morning, you posed a really important question to me, and I almost want you to actually like start that off with that question, with that.
What question exactly?
About 100%. Like it was like it just really had me like, oh fuck, like it really had me thinking. It maybe this is a good place to start.
Yeah, good question to ask you guys. We were just talking about dating, and as you date people, finding what you need in a partner, what you want in a partner, et cetera, et cetera. And Malcolm was talking about how he feels like he wants to find, or he's looking for 100%. He wants 100% from what he wants, what he needs, exactly, et cetera, et cetera.
Sure.
And I was saying that I don't know if it's realistic to find 100% in another person. Like, you're gonna have to compromise. You're gonna have to make sacrifices. You're not gonna get 100% of what you want. But is that 95, that 98 good enough for you to build a life with? So what do you guys think? Is it realistic to get 100%?
I feel like we're ignoring the whole 80-20 rule.
Exactly.
I thought that was like the whole thing.
Yes,
That was like
big.
the goal, the target mark.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the same thing. I feel like maybe some people have found 100% of what they're looking for. But I feel like for the most part, especially couples that I know or that I've seen, you don't get that. You try and get as much as you can or as close as you can to it. And then it is compromise. It's like, what are you willing to put up with? I feel as well sometimes.
Yeah, I agree. I think more it's like the 100%, I think it comes more like from intention. It's me like intentionally like 100%, like, are you on the same page with somebody, instead of just like 100%, instead of like looking for and like little kind of like micro sort of things that you find in people and stuff that like over time don't really matter. I think when you're trying to talk about like building something with someone and creating a foundation, like those things are just kind of going to wane over time,
Right.
So
yeah, no, I agree. I totally agree. That was my thought process.
Yeah, no, I guess like I was in a space of really thinking about like when it comes to manifesting, right? It's like they say get exactly what you want, or like I guess my question is rooted in like, where does the compromise come when it comes to manifesting exactly what you want? Because I feel like then you're always gonna be looking outside of yourself to complete something else, and then you're making excuses to say like, oh well, her hair was the wrong color, or his nose was too big, or like you'll find yourself like, not saying that you would maybe nitpick on something so small, but like it's just over time, and like you mentioned the waning, right? Over time, what might have been like, oh, like I can look past that, or oh, it's whatever.
Right.
You look past so many things that your destination looks completely different now. Yeah, I can see that.
I mean, what I was telling him too is like, for me, when I think about falling in love and finding love, I think it should be, you should fall in love or find love over patterns, not moments. So
That was exactly what you said.
Yeah.
That was a
what
bar.
do you mean by that?
So like you should be, for example, so what he's saying is about manifesting, right? So if you're manifesting that you want somebody to be consistent and loyal and trustworthy and all that stuff, first off, you're not even doing that 100% of the time. Not speaking
Most people that say it.
most people, you know what I'm saying? Like, so you're not doing that 100% of the time. You're not going to be perfect 100% of the time. But if you're looking at somebody's pattern, like, are they consistently this way? I'm not going to get mad at, I can't not be in love with you because of one moment. Like, because you weren't there for me one time, but you've been there for me
Consistently.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Fall in love over the pattern. Like, what patterns are they showing you? What patterns am I giving off to you as well? And then if our patterns align, like you said, if we're on the same page and our patterns align, that's how we should find love. That's how we should build, not over just, we had a good moment, so now we in love, or we had a bad moment, so now we're not in love. Like, it should be patterns, not moments.
Right.
You know what I'm
And then also it's just like, if you're, I don't know, saying like you're falling out of love off of like one bad moment or like one disagreement, like is that, I don't know if that's really love.
Yeah. I think that's a moment, not a pattern.
Yeah.
Sure, it's a moment. Yeah,
Exactly.
100%.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to switch it up. Still on the topic of dating, and I'm really serious. I'd be asking crass questions, and he calls me the Charlemagne of the show, and I'm like, calm down. I just want to get down to the nitty gritty. I want to know, like,
DJ Envy or Angela Yee?
He asked the same question.
Like maybe a little bit both.
No, I want to know what turns us on, and I don't just mean in like a physical sense, right? You know what I'm saying? Oh, cool, muscles or a big butt or whatever. Like what really, like what turns us on? It really like makes us like want to. It's when it comes to date, like, you know what I'm saying? Like in LA and even in Phoenix and anywhere, in any place, like dating or connecting with people can be fickle, right? We could just be following moments, right? But if we do want to follow a pattern and we want to follow partnership, or we want to follow like companionship or partnership, like genuine partnership, what keeps us there? Like what turns us on? What keeps us in a pattern and not a moment? My question to you guys and to you as well.
For me, it's intention. I think it goes back to like, definitely intention again, like full clarity. And then I feel like as a woman who dates men, like someone who like fully just like takes control, like in that intention, like that clarity and stuff is just like really nice. Cause it's like, I don't know, maybe that's not something I was looking for like when I was younger, but like since
I was just about to say that.
You know, but like, because back then, definitely I was like, okay, no, I just want someone like, and it sounds really cliche, but it's just like, oh, like how fun are they? Can they, you know, introduce me to some new things? Like I was just kind of looking for like that kind of growth aspect, but now it's just like, no, it's just like the clarity. Yeah. And like, there's something about like the intention and just like being able to kind of take control.
I love that.
Of that as well.
Yeah, that's big.
Yeah.
Time and effort, I feel like. I think I like being with someone that like shows that like, oh, you're actually interested. Because I don't like to do a whole lot of guesswork. I'm hyper vigilant, as Malcolm and a life coach that I've had a conversation with. That's the one said.
When I'm saying the same thing as a life coach, and I am not a certified life coach.
They're different people. Same story.
Yeah, 100%.
But like my mind will just kind of like go, because I'm always like analyzing and overanalyzing things. So it's like being with someone that kind of erases some of those questions. And part of that is from me, right? Like if you're insecure about something, or that has nothing really to do with the other person. But that was a little loud over there.
He was really in the greens.
Because insecurities do not mean anything, but, as far as the other person. That's a personal thing.
You know, but there is a certain aspect of that. I think like finding someone that like their love language matches yours in that same way. You know, like someone that likes giving attention. Like great, like I like receiving attention. Like finding that balance that much.
Yeah, that's big. This is really good answers.
And yeah, you can't take any of those answers.
I know. I really was feeling what Victoria said about when I was younger. I looked at dating differently, or what I wanted differently than I do now. Like now I want somebody who like, I'm really big on like, do you challenge my thought process, my perspective? Like how do you make me grow? Like I really want to like, I know it sounds cliche, but I really try to like be better at something every single day. Like, so how do you assist me in that? Like how am I? Because naturally, I'm trying to like push people. Yeah. So like, how are you pushing me? Like, I'm not expecting me and you, but how are you pushing me in different areas?
Sure.
So that's big to me. Right?
100% feel that.
Yeah.
100% feel that. I would say for me, not that anyone asked.
We knew you were gonna give us.
But I was like, actually, I have to throw myself in the ring here. Spontaneity. I feel like being willing and able to do, because literally I resonate with everything that all of you said.
Right.
So definitely like huge for like what keeps me there and what they're trying. But I think to couple with that, like someone that you can like have like random fun with, like someone is just like, hey, like let's go here, let's do this, and not even like when it comes to activities, but I think when it comes to intentions and like thought processes, like what kind of spontaneous moment can we make within our consistency? Yeah. And that even goes down to like, I know we're talking about dating, but that also goes down to like, I feel like all this also resonates to like friends and family too. For sure. It does in a way. Like I know I pose it as like a turn on, but like what keeps us going into a relationship and keeps us wanting to build in a relationship with somebody, I would say, you know, I value friendship, like my friendships with people of like, do you challenge my perspective? You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be the smartest person in any room. Like I want to be somewhere where it's like, man, I'm in this relationship and I'm constantly learning something. Yeah. Or it's like clearly both sides, both people are wanting to make this happen right now. And, you know, being able to call anybody at any time, call you. And it's just like, let's go to this concert. Let's go on this trip. Let's go to this bar. Let's go to this club. Let's go to this party. Like, all in an effort to like be close. Like that really like, that is a key ingredient to like my relationships for me. I would say.
Yeah, that's big. That's huge. That's huge. And then when it comes to all of that stuff, because all of this is good, and this kind of goes off of what I was talking about earlier about patterns and everything. But like, since now we know what we're looking for, like, are those some of you guys is like non-negotiables, or are you willing to compromise on those things as well? Like Malcolm, you're big on time and effort, which I 100% agree on.
I'm trying to figure that out now because in the past, I feel like I've compromised on a lot of things, whether it's friendships, dating, even family, to be honest. So I'm trying to like reinforce boundaries, but also like what I say that I want. Like if I truly want this, focusing in on that. What was the question?
What are your non-negotiables? Yeah, what are your non-negotiables?
Yeah, and are you willing to compromise on those things?
Where are your points of compromise?
Right.
Yes, that was the question. See, the brain just.
You was good. You was going.
I was on a train. I didn't know where it was going.
Because I wanted to know like what were the red flags, but I feel like that kind of.
Yeah.
My non-negotiables. Yeah, I feel like if you're not showing like a similar level of interest than I am, then I'm not really interested in that. Because I feel like people think like initially, oh, that's just the dating phase. But there are a lot of people that are in relationships with people that don't know whether or not the person likes or loves them, you know? And I don't want to be in that type of situation. So for me, that, I guess I could call that like a red flag, you know? But I think that would be a non-negotiable. I have a lot of other ones that are just like I need to get along with your friends because you're going to spend a lot of time with those people in and around them. And I'm thinking, even though Malcolm always tells me not to do this, but I think more long-term, right? Like I'm trying to eventually settle down and get married, you know? I'm not trying to waste like a whole bunch of time, you know?
Malcolm, thank you.
So it's, exactly.
We'll talk about that in a second. I just don't get that, but go ahead.
So I'm just like, you know, I don't want to date someone like right now and it's like, oh, like their friends kind of suck, but like who knows where this is going. It's like, you know, that's a pretty big thing. Like if I can't get along with them, if we have nothing in common, like I feel like there's
you and their friends.
No, just me and like that person too.
Sure.
Because I think that's another thing that I didn't think I'd care about as much in the past. But now I'm realizing that I do. Like if we don't share similar interests on certain things, it's like, what are we really, when the fun part starts to fade away and like kind of like the sexual excitement and all that, like what's the stuff that's actually going to keep you together? Where's the companionship really coming from if you don't really have anything in common?
Yeah.
What about you, Victoria?
As far as non-negotiables, I definitely agree with if someone's like not on the same page. Well, it's not even about being on the same page, but I think on the same page is like feelings, like, and because you just intuitively pick that up. I think when you just kind of know when someone's not as in to you as like you are to them, and I don't know. That seems like it kind of goes back to like I think when I was younger, and that seemed like, I don't know, very attractive, like this kind of chase.
Right.
You know, but then you just like, no, the emotional availability is kind of, it's not fun at all. And it's like, this doesn't have to be like how dating and stuff is. Like always kind of wondering if they even want to hang out with you sometimes, you know, like, and so that's one thing I say definitely like a non-negotiable. I can't feel like comfortable around you, you know, like if, I don't know, asking you out on to hang out one night gives me like butterflies or something, like, you know, like jittery, like uncomfortable feelings.
Like, so like anxious feeling, like, because like butterflies is like, oh, like, and he would
right. Not,
yeah. So like, I just want the clarity. Like,
not butterflies, but like, no, there were like periods where like, I remember like I would go back and forth to texting friends like, okay, like, but do I ask him like, you know, because it's 8:00 and like, is that gonna? And it's like, yo, if you can't even just send a text like that, you know, that's definitely a huge red flag. And then I think just kind of going back to, it is important like for that intention, like at least for something like long term, like because eventually it's just gonna kind of like fizzle out in a sense of if you're not just on that same page, like at a certain point, where can something go? So depending on like what, you know, you're looking for, then like I would say that's a red flag.
You had said emotional availability.
Yeah.
And I just want to add like emotional intelligence and communication. Because we always talk about that.
Yeah.
So like,
that's another one too. Like, okay, because you're talking about 100%. And then that just got me thinking like people have different love languages. And so like, somebody, you may want someone 100% who like has the time and effort, but maybe like, I don't know, their love language is like words of affirmation. And so like the way they have time and effort for you is not always like they're down to like go out or do the same activities, but maybe it's just like the listening aspect and then being able to kind of say what you need to hear and not in a way of like coddling, but
Right.
like saying what you need, like
Yeah.
wow, like just like really good, just a really good like connection with someone. So I think what would be a red flag about that is like maybe having that understood and maybe not having it respected.
Yeah.
You know, which now now I'm diving deeper. I'm like the layers.
Don't say it out loud.
Yeah.
We were literally talking about this morning where I was saying this out loud. I was like, oh shit, I don't think I've ever even like said this out loud. And then you say it and you kind of start saying it. And you're like, oh, like
Right.
yeah.
And
I'm
real,
just pulling that out of you guys.
yeah.
No, it is. It's you. Thank you.
Because you talked about having someone challenge you, and I think really it's like what would be a red flag for me is just like someone not being able to step outside their comfort zone. And you go back to like thinking like, okay, if relationships are like mirrors, and I think that's the red flag for me. Like if I know I'm like hesitant about doing something, it's because I actually really need to do it.
Yeah.
And so that's like my red alarm. So if I'm seeing that within someone else and not always, and it doesn't always maybe necessarily have to be in a negative unless like, I don't know, it's repetitive. Like you've asked somebody to, I don't know, show up in a certain way and out of like love and their refusal to keep doing it because they want to stay comfortable within who they show up for, I guess.
Right.
Like, and it could be like translating a lot of different things, like, I don't know, selfishness and stuff, which I think like we all have aspects of in ourselves, but it's just ultimately it's like, I don't know, if someone's going to be constantly like unable to budge on something or just compromise on anything, like, yeah, I don't know.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. And you talk about the love languages. I think we've all probably done the love language test before at some point.
I feel like people still don't know their love languages.
Which is true.
I'll be honest. I feel like everybody
Let's talk about
took.
that.
I really question the credibility of the test because some motherfuckers be taking that shit on Facebook versus a real test. Like y'all be taking the Facebook polls, the Twitter polls.
That's not the same thing.
Some people be like, yeah, like physical touch. It's like no, it's you like to receive physical touch and you think it's sex that's your love language and it's not your love language.
I think it's like what hurts your feelings the most when you really care about someone. Like what are you like yearning for the most? Like
You felt that one? You felt
I never really thought about it like that.
Like he said, that was gospel to him. Like,
No, I really did think mine was like I guess like quality time is like what I wanted as a love language, but I'm really seeing like words of affirmation.
Girl, talk
is
about it. That's mine.
oh shit.
so, but I think we have to talk. Okay, look, I want to do this, right? Because there's a few things I want to cover. Let's take a quick break.
Me too.
Because I think we need to talk about love languages from a perspective of what do we like to giving and what.
That's what I was about to say.
That's what people I think have love languages a little mixed up sometimes, and that's something that and let me not say that like I'm an expert on it, but I think in recent years and in recent times I'm like, oh God, it's you don't have one love language. It's like there's something that you like to give and there's something that you like to receive.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Different.
So
And it's different.
it is, and it's very different.
Well, let's
Yeah.
dive into that after.
Dive in, quick break, and we'll come back.
Okay. Yes, we're back talking about love languages.
You just said we don't have to say we're back.
Yeah, I did say that. And I said it. But we're here now. We're back. Talk about love languages. And Victoria said something that I wanted to touch on. You said it as well about the difference between giving and receiving.
Yes.
Because it's very different. Because I align with you, Victoria, on words of affirmation. Like, I need words of affirmation. Like, that is how
And what does it mean? Like dive
Thrive.
into that. Yeah.
Like, I feel so much better. Like, I feel like you love me when you're giving me words of affirmation. Like, that's how I receive love the best way. Like, when you don't have to touch me, you don't have to kick it with me, but if you hit me up and say, man, I loved your video, like, that was absolutely amazing. I'm good. Cool for a week. Yeah, I'm good. I'm
A
good.
little
Like,
ego
I'm
stroke.
Which is like
stable high now. Like, I'm super good.
Wow.
Yeah, like that, or man, you look so good today. Like, I'm straight. I'm set. Like,
Wow.
That's
Wow,
for me.
yeah.
It's
But
that simple. No, I'm
Is
joking.
I think that's what I'm saying. Like, and I'm not like trying to. I'm really not trying to.
No,
this is a very vulnerable thing, but I'm just like, nigga, is that really all it takes? Just like
No. Obviously, it's more than that, especially when you're in a relationship. I'm just saying, words of affirmation for me is at the top. Like, that's the top way that I receive love.
that's real. I like that. Like, I think
Yeah,
that's awesome.
but giving love, what I had to learn is different. Like, because I've dated people who are really big on physical touch. That's not something I'm big on. But I had to learn, like, I can't give you words of affirmation if that's not how you receive love. Like I've got to be willing to sacrifice. Like if you want to cuddle, like, and I don't want to, I need to do that because you might not want to give me words of affirmation at times, but you know that's how I, you know what I mean? So
right, like she hated the podcast and your outfit.
Dang!
Look,
But she,
what it sounds like is that this is a relationship. Right. We done at that point.
Yeah, hated the podcast.
Oh my god. So
she's like in that shirt too.
what do you say? I don't like your shirt and your cornbread dry. And your cornbread dry. Like,
Right.
Yes.
So that's, you like to receive that. So then what do you like to give?
That's what I've tried to learn, because I think what's different, what I had to learn too, sometimes the hard way, is that it's not about all the time what I like to give.
What do they like to receive?
What they like to receive. That's what we miss so many times. Like, it's not about what I like to give. I can give you whatever I want, and we might not go nowhere. But what do you like to receive? That's how you grow, is when we're both getting, it's give and take. We're both getting a little bit.
No, I hear that.
Because it's not a give or a take.
100%.
You know what I'm saying?
100%.
Like, it's what they want to receive. So
100%.
that's what I would say.
To you, too.
Well, I'm just going off of that. I think that is why it's important to find someone that matches that too, right? I don't necessarily know, not saying it's good or bad, but for me, I probably wouldn't want to be with someone where I have to like switch my love language to like match the way that they like to receive, possibly. I feel like it would be an easier match if I find someone that likes to receive the way that I like to give. But I'm saying that now, that might change in a week. I'll give you an update.
Well, my question, sorry to cut you off, but do you like to receive the way that you give?
Definitely not. No, they're very different. So the way that I give is like, and it's pretty similar with my friends. Like I like to do things for people. I'm like a helper. I'm like your solution expert. I will just do whatever you need. You need me there, I'm there. You need something, like I'm that person.
And I will vouch for that. Like,
to the point where like
that,
I stretch myself.
I will say, because that is one thing that I value extremely about you, is that you and this genuinely means a lot, and I'm really not trying to cut you off, but you do that, and I want to say I very much value that about you, because it's not that you show up all the time, but it's you show up when you say you're going to show up.
I did miss the last capacity party. This is true. But
Still sore about it, but it's fine.
Clearly, no, I'm joking. But for the most part, no. So I'm like, and sometimes to a point where like I'm putting myself in like a bad situation because I'm doing so much for someone else. But like, that's just what I know how to do, and that's what feels comfortable to me. But I don't like getting that back. Like when people try and help me with things, I'm like, full stop. Like I got like, I'm just not that person. So I think I'm still figuring out the way that I like to receive love. I don't necessarily know if it's words of affirmation. It's definitely time, I guess. Definitely quality time. I would say words of affirmation, but sometimes I'm like, you lying. Like,
You're very sensitive.
you lying.
Sometimes words of affirmation is tough, because the closer you get to people, this is bad to say this, but it's true. The closer you get to people, sometimes the harder it is for you to believe their affirmation. You know what I'm saying? Like,
not the deep
it's like your people don't most times love everything. Most times, not all the time. But I'm saying,
okay, but it's I've told both of you, anytime you guys give me like extreme compliment, I'll be like, yeah, but it's your job to like love my shit,
But that has no reflection on us. That's you.
No, 100%. It's not even more of us. It's totally 100%. Because
it doesn't hit the same. It's like not really.
But it's not that it doesn't hit the same. It's just that.
But because
like you said, Malcolm, you lying. That goes through your head. Like, are you just saying this to say it, or is it just? Are
you saying this from a place of like, because you do like you like we love each other, and it's like we're in a relationship, so it's like, and I think maybe because we're still, even in intimate relationships, we're still validation seeking beings. Especially as I started this conversation off by highlighting us really as creatives, and I think that there is this heavy degree where we want intimacy, we want the close connection, but then it's like, all right, great. Whether or not you like or love what I'm doing, great. We're in a relationship. We have to support each other. We don't have to, but we have to choose to if we want this to work.
Right.
As a creative, I want this group of people that don't even know who I am. I'm still more hell-bent on like, let's hit the audition, let's hit the casting call, a bigger stage, a larger number, larger subscribers, right? Because I want the art that I'm creating, I want that to be validated in a different way. And so maybe that's why those compliments, maybe just to share, maybe that's why those compliments feel greater from the people that we don't know.
Yeah.
That's right. It is more on us, though. That's true. Because, like,
100%.
if I'm trusting you and your honesty and your track record, your pattern, if we're going back to that, then I should know that what you're saying is not fake. Like, you would tell me that if it wasn't good. You know what I'm saying? So, it's just, it is more on us and, like, really trusting that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think affection was the word that I was looking for. I said time, but it's like time and affection.
Yeah.
Giving and receiving.
For me, okay, so definitely receiving words of affirmation. Giving, I feel like, and like maybe y'all can clarify, I feel like mine's act of service.
Yeah. You're so comforting, so I would agree with
Does that fit in there?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
'Cause
Well, yeah, because it's not, because they say giving gifts is one, or like,
Quality
Yeah.
time.
like, yeah, like, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'd say
Like,
active
you're
service
like,
for sure.
how can I make you feel better? Like, how can I help
Yeah.
you?
You're a fountain, 100%.
Yeah, that's, I mean, yeah, like my go-to, especially because like I'm a huge empath. And so like I can definitely feel just when things are off, and just like even sometimes the people I'm closest to, like telepathically, it's like a ring, and it's like, oh, okay, cool. Like my my best friend Veronica, like I'll just kind of like feel like, ooh, she's not in the best place, and then it's like immediately just like want to pick up the phone, and then it's not even about like, and sometimes it is like, let me rush over to her house and, you know, like pick up some food or something. Sometimes it's like, I just want to like get the acts of listening, you know? Like, and it's weird because I think it kind of ties into maybe words of affirmation, because then it's like, tell me what's wrong, you know? And a lot of people, I feel like, don't want to lean into that as much. I think it's changing, but I think sometimes like what I hear a lot from people is like, I'm sorry, I went MIA because I didn't want to dump on you. And it's just like, okay, like. It's different, right? Because I do think there is, what exactly did they call it? But I guess, I don't know why like emotional narcissism came into my head, but the idea of just like literally like you don't want to become an energetic vampire, right? But I don't have those kind of relationships. Like it's very much so even like, look, you're going through something. I'm here to listen and be a support in a way, because I know that that's exactly what you would do for me.
And it's as you said, like it's more on them when it's like, well, I don't want to dump on you, but it's like, I think the emotional support is a very consensual thing, right? There will be times where we could be talking, you and I could be talking, and it's just like the days that I can hold that space, I will be very clear. I got you today. Talk to me. And the days that I can't, it's not the best time for me right now.
Yeah.
Right. Whether it is work, whether it might be I'm just filled up emotionally right now and I don't have that space. But I think it's also in relationships we have to get out of our own way and like allow
people to step in.
Allow people to step in, or also ask for the support, which I know can be a very hard thing to do, to genuinely ask for support. And sometimes it's not, can you show up here? Can you buy a ticket? Can you do this? It's just, can you be on the phone and can you hold space right now?
Yeah, which is something that I am learning to also open up with too. Especially like, I think, well, asking people for like physical support, like if I'm doing something, whatever kind of labor, whether it's like for work or even just like moving in, I will never ask for help. And then it's like, but then it's like when you actually have help, like when I moved in and your friend was just like helping put up the clothes, and I was like, at first, you know, like I was like this, like wait, no, you know, the controller in me was like, oh no, but you picking up the hanger, and then it's like, but then you know, 20 minutes later you look up and it's done,
That's true.
and then they still ask me like, can I help with anything else, and it's like.
Wow, is this what letting love in is like?
Yeah.
That is like the clearest example of like the difference between my like giving and receiving love languages. Because I always help people move. Like they always call me and I'm like, sure. I'm driving the truck. I'm like lifting stuff up. I'm like, I haven't even been in the gym and you got me out here like working my back. But I've never called anyone ever to help me move. I will do 500,000 trips in my small compact car back and forth before I ever call and ask for help.
You won't even say when you're moving.
I won't even say, no, you asked me and I refused to tell you. I
literally was like, when are you moving? I'll help. Like, and he didn't tell me. He finally just said, hey, I finally moved in. And I'm like,
the only person.
I remember because you did it while I was away. It's like you manifested the time when I couldn't help you most. I was away. I was in Arizona. And I literally came back and he's like, yeah, I'm in the Hollywood spot. I said, do you need help unpacking? No.
Finally, on this move, I did call my brother, and even that, I was just like, I really didn't want to call that man. Because I'm like, I can do it. Like, I'm good. I don't need help. I've just always, I think, I grew up the youngest in my family, so I've always just been that person that's like, I'm independent. Like, I can do this on my own. So yeah, I don't know. Moving was just a really good example of that. So I'm like, damn, I really don't be asking for help.
I'm like, I'm here to help.
But going off of that, because I got a question for you guys, like, just talking off of that, like, how do you get to the point, or what does it take to get to the point where you're opening up yourself to receive love? You get what I'm saying? Because you're like you said, you're big in acts of service, but you don't want acts of service back. Even though at times, like you said, it could potentially help you or help the project go quicker and stuff like that. So what does it take, or what will it take for you to open up and receive love? You know what I'm saying?
I love talks because it goes. I know some people are like, ugh, the talk, but I love.
You hate them, but you love them.
I love them. I'm like, let's talk. Like, you know, like I don't know. I feel like that's like that's it.
That's tough. I mean, I think sometimes for me, it literally takes people just like shutting me down and being like, no, like I'm doing this. You're just gonna have to deal with it. And then I'm like, all right, cool. And when it happens, it's like I'm so thankful for it, even though I would have never asked you to do this, but like thank you. And then other times it just happens because you hit like a wall, and it's like, I have no more resistance at this point, you know? But I think a part of that is also like trust, right? Yeah. Like with someone like Malcolm or with Vic, if they do that, I'm like, all right, like I trust them, like, there's a lot that goes into it, but yeah, I think for me, it's really just, it's like a trust thing. Yeah.
I think Black people naturally are just very independent beings. Like we're very much do it ourselves, grinder type of people. But sometimes we make it harder on ourselves.
Well, yeah, because there's magic. There's like liberation on the other side of like letting love in. I think we've all been in this space where we are fully cracked open, and I think that's what it takes. It's like when you just finally like, I'm gonna take it, right, regardless of my perception of what 1%, 100%, whatever. And not saying I'm compromising, not in a like, oh, this isn't what I want, or this woman has 2 out of 10, this man has 2 out of 10 things that I like. No, it's like, cool, whatever. But
Jeez, that's a low percentage.
I know, that's a low percentage, right? That's terrible. No, so not in that regard, but just all the programs, everything that would tell me to run from love, or anything that would tell me just not to let this in, right? Not to let people help me move, not to receive the love, to receive the acts of service. When we finally just crack open and let it happen, there's magic on the other side of that. Yeah. And I think to answer your question, it's like, what does it take? It takes ego death. It takes complete. It takes like a sincere shutting down of everything that I think I know, everything that has kept me safe, everything that has kept me comfortable. Pride. Because I know about love. I know about love. I don't like to receive because, you know, it's like, what is it? Who taught you? That's always what I have to like tell myself now. I ask that to a lot of people. Like who taught you that letting love in, it makes you weak, makes you lesser than, makes you all these things that we have all this resistance to, right?
Sometimes it's not even someone. Sometimes we teach ourselves that. Like once you've had that first like heartbreak or like some situation or something like that, sometimes people like they just immediately become guarded. Like I never want to feel what I felt before, and so as a result, it's like there's a wall. You know? But like that's your point. So who taught you? And most times it is us, right? Yeah,
it's
right.
Programs. Events happened, and we assigned our own subjective meaning to it, right? So the one time I said, "Hey, y'all, I'm sad," everyone laughed at me. That doesn't mean that every single time you open up and say, "I'm sad," people are gonna laugh at you.
Right.
Yeah.
But we have that experience happen most times before we're 10 years old, right? So it happens at a really early age, and so we immediately associate saying I'm sad out loud or speaking my mind or speaking from a vulnerable space is going to get me ridiculed, makes me unsafe.
Real quick, you never shared how you like to give your love language. Yeah.
I am very clear. I love to give acts of service. How I show you that I love you sincerely is like I like to show up for you.
How do you like to receive?
I like to receive quality time. Like how you know I care is. Or no, I mean, it's not like, like I guess from receiving, like I like phone calls, like movies together, like doing things together, just sitting in this space and having the talk, right? Like the talks, like that is what I love, because I just love when people can like hold space. I'm someone who definitely values when people like hold space. Yeah. And I don't want to like get into the programs, but I just feel like growing up, if I'm speaking from a full accountable place, I don't know how often I like let people hold space for me. So in my adult life, I realize how valuable it is in receiving it. So when someone genuinely, like, so it might be an act of service from someone else, but when someone just gives me genuine, authentic time, especially without judgment, I'm like, we married. Friends, girlfriends, everything. Like we are all. No, like when you give me time, like bro, like I got vows for everybody, man. I'm just like, we are married at that point, because it just I feel very good.
I think it's interesting how fluid these things can be, though, because it's like on one hand, like I'll use you for example, right? Like you like to receive time. But very often you don't have time.
But which is why it's valuable to me.
So I think it's interesting.
Well, because I think the balance, because I always make the joke, right? Especially with the pandemic, I was like quality time, but also my love language is quality space. Because it's like when I'm working, or I'm used to like going. So it's like, I think last year, like I'm not outside my house at all. Then it's like, so it's quality time, quality space. I'm someone who I'm not used to being like down and in one place. I feel good when I'm moving, when I'm on the road. Like that's right to me. So quality time is very valuable to me, because it's like I'm not someone who even creates that space enough in their side, or I'm used to a life of like moving. So it's like when I can get, it sucks when I don't see you for a month or for 2 weeks, right? You know what I'm saying? Like it genuinely does. I'd be like, damn, right? Like we're like,
it's been a month.
It's
a whole lot of life has happened.
a whole lot of, and it's like nothing more is what I love than like spending however much time we can. What's going on? Like pouring into you and letting you pour into me, and same to you and same to you. And so like that is, as someone who maybe from your like, perception doesn't have a lot of time, is that's why I love quality time. Yeah, just like that's good. Yeah. So I want to switch gears slightly. Just a little bit. I'm a Dr. Umar Johnson. Dr. Jumar. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
No. This is not the platform for those jokes.
It's not.
I'm a disciple. What I would say is that I'm a disciple of Dr. Umar Johnson. I'm going to put the Kufi hat on me when I ask these questions.
Have you seen the KKK but like Kufi?
Yes. So as I like have my hotep looks on my face, can you be pro-black?
Oh God.
And not have a black partner?
No.
Oh shoot.
I just want to know.
Okay.
Why are we laughing, people? Let the women explain themselves.
All right, can you expound?
Okay. Well, first, like, when we're talking about, like, being pro-black, right? Like, what does that mean, particularly, like, for you? Because, like, when you asked that and then you brought up, like, Dr. Umar, like, to me, I'm just, okay, what he says specifically about, like, Black couples and how that's just not just for like our cultural survival, but also like for our economic survival and stuff too. It's just like, to me, I'm just saying, well, yeah, how can you have like ideologies like that, but then your spouse is not a Black person, but you're talking about everything about, you know what I mean? So that's why I said no. So like harshly. But
I mean, at this point,
I'm pretty sure.
I
I bring him up only as a joke, just because in Rihanna's internet we use him just as a satirical.
It's from Al Gore. It's not Al Gore's anymore.
No, it's not Al Gore's. It's definitely Rihanna's internet. She took it over after the pregnancy scare. But
in a sense of like, because also, but I don't think that's like fair to say like, cool, if you fit on like in the spectrum, like I want to say I'm pro-black, like then I just have to be that extremist.
I feel that.
Yeah, because like it's almost in the same way, like as a black person, how do you want to show up for, you know, like all of your racial justice, like how you see equality, and it's kind of, and I don't like us having to be tied to labels that when you really look at it are all from ideas of white patriarchy anyway. So with that being said, like, yes, like could you be pro-black and have a spouse who is not black? Like, yes, but I guess I want to see what you're talking about. You know what I mean? Because then there are some like certain juxtapositions where I'm just like, sorry, this really isn't making sense. And I'll go ahead, I'll bring up your boy like Donald Glover, like, because you come off as like,
I know that they're big fans.
Yeah.
I can't say much. I'm just.
That is, you're 100% right, Victoria.
Yeah.
You are. It's so hard. It's
I
like
mean,
you towing a line.
Yeah.
You disagree, Michael?
No, I was just gonna. There are a few more names I was gonna throw in there, which
so.
was really funny.
Yeah.
Say their names.
I mean, you're like a massive Tyler fan. Yeah. We're gonna leave that there for now. But
We won't.
I don't know if I agree or disagree. I think for me,
Tripped your ass up.
I feel like I look at more like patterns, right? Because I understand like love is love. Like, yeah, we're going back to the pattern thing.
That's the
but not
title
multiple
right
patterns.
here. That's the title of the pattern series.
Patterns. But you can find yourself in a situation where you fall in love with someone, like you build a life together, whatever. I think for me that's different, like having a white partner or white spouse versus like you only like white people or like you only see whiteness.
Yeah.
So for me, when I see that, it's like, okay, like you settle down with a white person, like, all right, cool, fine. But I'm like, if you only look at like white people or like have them on this pedestal or this platform, even if it's just visually, then I'm like, I don't trust any of your like pro-black stuff. Cause I'm like, at that point, like you don't even love yourself.
I think it is a case-by-case scenario. I've had this conversation with a friend a bunch of times, but for me, I just really think, and I'd be hard-pressed to be convinced otherwise, to be honest, but I just really think that it would be hard for a white woman specifically to understand the black man's struggle.
100% agree with that.
So for me, at that point, it's like, I don't even understand how that life would, like, I don't even know.
Maybe that's why I'm just sitting back here.
I would just feel like me being somebody who's been pro-black on podcasts and things, doing all this stuff on social media, I would lose credibility at that point. I'm serious.
I feel like there would just be a lot of tension in the house because it's like you're saying all this stuff about like
Now I have
whiteness.
to have a hidden white girlfriend.
Well, but I do question how at sometimes says I'm like, all right, if you're out here saying all this stuff and like we're criticizing whiteness in America, it's like how do you go home and it's like they don't get like upset like damn like you're really going
but we're saying that would be the case, right? Like it depending because
it might not be.
It might because I agree with you, right? Where I'm just like I have experiences that I'm going to confide in you about. And and I mean, we're saying white. Just if you're not black,
yeah, that's another thing.
That's
we also use the people of color.
We're using POC and all that. Like, no, I'm saying if you are not black, you will not be able to resonate. Like, you can resonate with it with to an extent as maybe a person of color, especially as a darker skinned, right, like person of color, right. Y'all know, like, I have a rainbow of a friend group, and I'm not saying that from the I have a white friend, but it's like I have colorist conversations or colored conversations with them, right? And I'm like, oh my god, in certain like Filipino friends or certain of the like Latinx diaspora, certain very dark skin, like I'm just like, oh shit, okay, all right, oh okay, all right, it's almost the same, it's almost there,
yeah.
But at the end of the day, you're not black. So it's like I'm really making the emphasis of like being with a partner who is just not black. At the end of the day, you're not going to have
it's a very specific history.
Yeah, and again, I'm not saying that I'm looking to trauma bond by any means. I'm not looking to sit here and be sad, but it's like things just affect me. We've talked about the trauma on our platform a lot lately, and I'm like, I don't want to talk about it right now. So I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to talk about any of this because it's just like it's a constant cycle of it's my feeling as a black person. I'm seeing black people die. So it's great if you're not black and you're like, oh my God, I'm seeing a lot of people die. I'm so glad that you can be human and see this shit. But I just don't have the expectation that anyone who is not black is going to feel my black experience the same way that I feel it. But I know if my partner is black, and even then, it doesn't mean it, because what does pro-blackness mean in itself too? That's one thing.
Intersectionality.
Like, there's intersectionality there too, because like there's like, I'd be really hurt about certain things. I think even if we're talking in tandem of like the Chappelle conversation, there's certain things that like I said what I said and have my opinions and reservations about it from like a stance of like, I'm really hurt from the pain that we can cause black queer people. And I want to do more educating myself of what I can do to create more equitable spaces for those voices to be heard, because I see my brother, I see my sister, I see my friend, I see my people in those identities regardless of my sexuality. Yeah. So it's a really, so pro-blackness can mean a different thing, because you can be indifferent, right? We can act like we're indifferent. Well, I don't care if you're gay, I don't care if you're lesbian. Like, no, but we should care.
That's almost like I don't see color.
Yeah, I don't see color. No, but motherfucker, you should see the fact that I'm black and respect that identity. Like, yes, I'm like, I want to be human, and we can all talk about like, oh, we transcended race and all that shit. That's real cute. And I will talk about the people that have transcended race, and that's great that like Oprah could be accepted by the world and it's Oprah, but you're still a black woman.
Exactly.
You're still a black woman, and you've had that experience, right? So pro-blackness in itself is also a huge thing. So that's a very loaded question when I ask it, but I just think if we're talking about like a partner and having an experience,
I don't want to have to explain it.
I don't,
because you can't explain it.
I couldn't.
You can't.
I've realized how my friends and my friend groups have evolved over the years, right? Because somehow like patriarchy and whiteness stopped being a center of what I aspired to when it came to a friend group. I've not had to explain myself in a while. Like, I remember last year I had people call, like during the protests and all that shit, I had people calling me from like old jobs.
That was a moment.
People that were not black calling me and wanting me to explain. I'm just like, oh my God, it is not black people's responsibility to explain the problems of white supremacy.
It's interesting for me because I just started realizing that in the last few years. You know, beforehand, I've always just been like, you know, my life has always just been very like people are people, like whatever, love is love, like this and that. But I think the last few years, especially once I started dating, is when I realized, you know what, like, I really think like if I'm thinking about like long-term future, settling down, building a life with someone, it needs to be a black person. Yeah. It's like anything else, I'm like, I just don't, like I was saying before, I don't want to have to explain certain things. There's certain things that you can't really, you could try and explain like the feeling that you get when certain things happen, but it's like unless you've lived through that.
Blackness is a feeling. Yeah, it needs to be explained. Blackness is also like, it's a feeling. It's so much deeper, because I think like you see so many black, you know, people that are black in the media, right? But it's like, well, I'm not black. Yeah, all skin folk and kin folk, right? Like, well, I'm not black. I'm not black. I'm OJ. You know what I'm saying? I'm like,
no, for sure. And I like, but that's enough, because I look at that sideways too, because I'm like, all right, clearly you're not. Something happened to you along your like journey through like life where you rejected that part of your identity in order to like assimilate or fit into something else, and you just haven't really, you know, like recovered from that. Yeah. But I think capitalism is an influence of that. And I think that's just what it is. There's a point at which money can change you. But I feel like there's a.
But you still gonna be a nigga.
There's you got money, and there's still there's a balance.
Like you know what I'm saying? Like even when you got money, like I know that's very crass, but like at the.
I'm gonna pose a question, just because like I wonder if it's a little different sometimes for women, because okay, like as a black woman and knowing a lot of like what some black men think in terms of beauty and like other aesthetics and like what's expected of black women, what I've heard or like seen sometimes is, you know, black women finding a lot of just like tranquility in like dating non-black men, or sometimes, not all the time, but like non-black men uplifting or maybe like celebrating some of those qualities like in black women more. And so like in that sense, then I wonder too, like, can you be like a pro-black in terms of like your womanhood, and then like have a non-black partner? And it's like sometimes, well then yes, like it's, you know, as long as it's like not a fetishization.
I think that's it, the balance that sometimes I feel like I'd always be looking at. I've said this to you both before. Like I had gone on a date with a white person last year, and they're just like, yeah, like I'm only into black guys, and I was just like,
When
do you
they
want a
say
medal?
that, yeah,
like, what am I supposed to do with this information?
When I hear
like,
that,
That's weird.
there is, you are saying something when you approach me. I have to look because like this happens all the time. It is a level of fetishized sexual assault. Like I'm sorry because
well, you already know my.
and I mean, but we'll talk
And it's not
about
even just white people either.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
I'm not speaking. But when, like I said, I only date black guys.
No, that's weird. Ew.
When you say, like, there's a way that you say it, and it's just
Yeah.
like, so I hear what you're trying to say, but it's not a compliment.
No.
It's not something that is going to turn me on, or that is not making me like look at you as like, oh sweet, I'm in a safe place as a black person. Because all the I only date black guys crowd has also been silent, despite constant murders of black bodies and voices in this country. While I'm hurting, you're not empathizing, you're not checking in with me.
Yeah.
But I think that also says a lot about like where we are just in our journeys, because there's a subset of us that love hearing that, and it makes them like feel good for some reason.
Yeah.
And I'm not that person. It's not me.
Yeah. I don't know. I haven't seen it as much anymore, but just like coming from, like, I grew up in Memphis, and then there's definitely like a heavy amount of colorism, and so it was just very much so like the lighter skin complexion that you had, and then especially like when it came to hair texture, like that
huge.
that was really fetishized, especially with like black men, and just so like, I don't know, I really haven't really dated outside my race too much, but there is like one guy I kind of talked to in high school, and it was really interesting. Like, this is the only guy who's not saying that my hair is nappy. And I don't know if he's not saying that because he's white and he
doesn't even know.
Right, or what? But like,
He's like, this is so cool. This is just
like, wow, look at
Look at this. Oh, golly. Wow, what's that?
it stretches. So it's just like, but I never felt like it was just like, yeah, like I'm talking to her because like she's black. Like, it never felt like that. It just like, maybe it was his naivety about like just blackness in general, which I know it's like, that's really presumptuous to say about like a white person from the South. But I really just think like there were just some contexts that he just didn't understand, but like, and maybe that was a good thing because then he just like, in a sense, liked me for me. And I'm not saying like, you know, he didn't see color or anything. Like, I was 15. So I think some of the things that now I definitely like, I take into account more, just like being more grown, just like didn't come up then. It was just like a nice break just to not have to feel, honestly, like unwanted, especially like in that adolescence, like when you're just so,
Could
like,
you speak
vulnerable.
to like, because like, you know, we're talking about blackness, and then we'll bring this whole thing to a close. We've had a great, and I thank everyone for the time. Like, but can you speak to some of maybe the anti-blackness or maybe some of the misogynoir that I think a lot of black men can exhibit onto black women?
Do we have enough time?
Okay, yeah.
I'm like, I don't even know if we have enough time.
Yeah, like
No, but actually, please, like,
I know, and that's hard. It's a lot, right? Because it's like, I think that we can sit here and talk about pro-blackness, and it's like there's black men right now or black people dating other black people right now who would swear like, yeah, I'm for blackness, but your actions.
Black men that kill me. It makes me sick when I hear black men say, "Oh, I don't date black women. I don't know. Black women are always this." But I just want to.
Yeah.
there's everything about you and nothing to do with black women.
At all.
Those
Literally.
are
Like,
say.
ooh, stay away from me.
But no, to what you were, there is, it's like another just intersectionality thing. I feel like there's a lot of people's idea of pro-blackness is still very rooted in like patriarchy. And I'd love to hear some of your thoughts on that.
I mean, yeah, I think you said it really. It's just, it can be down to how you're wearing your hair. Maybe what I see a lot of is like how I hear black men talk about like public figures or celebrities and stuff, and like, okay, I hate to like pull out Doja Cat and stuff, but like a lot of times like when I hear about like what black men like about her, and it's just like a curvaceous like light skinned black like mixed woman, to be honest. And I think sometimes like maybe like I love her, to be honest. Like I think she's super talented. Yeah, no, she's super talented.
He
But
said, I forgot she was fine. I was like, yeah, dude, that's very attractive. Yeah.
No, that's. I mean, even we can look at the baby Danny Lee situation.
that part, but
Man.
then it's also okay. Like I hate. Well, no, I really don't hate to do this. Like, okay, I love SZA also too. SZA's had work done. Like, no one wants to really talk about it, and
Which
like,
she
it's no
has.
one's. It's no one's really business. It's just like just saying what it is, and like to be honest, like I don't know who I might let sculpt the chin or something. Like
Dr. Miami.
I'll see you guys when you come back. You know? But what is troubling about it is when you put her features side to side, and what you see like a lot of these like rising like kind of singers and like just like actresses and stuff doing is like they're once again kind of forming to like more European centric features, and so now like. I think SZA's been great. There may be some people who've been like, oh yeah, I thought she was sexy. I thought she was beautiful way before. But what I see a lot more of is like complimenting her more on her looks now after she has, I'll be honest, like made her features like more European. Like one of the first things a lot of celebrities do is rhinoplasty. They get a nose job and no one's fixing their nose to like,
not too long ago.
no one's
She's had a lot more than that.
No one's fixing their nose to make it wider. You know what I mean? It's like, and we see it on white people too, but they're bringing it in, they're pushing up the tip more, and it's again like Eurocentric like white features, and I think that's like to me it's troubling because it's like it's still in our subconscious. Maybe we don't see it or not. Just about like who are we liking on Instagram? Who's kind of reigning right now is like the sexiest or the best. Like I mean, I love it when like Rihanna is on a cover or someone's being like, damn, Rihanna look fine as hell today, and she's like wearing cornrows, because it's just like, okay, you're starting to see like some progress and stuff, but like I'm sure like a lot of people could still pull up their Instagram page and they're gonna get X amount more likes, with their hair straightened or like wearing a lace front, and you can wear whatever you want. And it's not like saying, okay, you can't be pro-black or happy in your blackness unless you're like, your hair is super natural and stuff. Like it's not about that. But,
And I think, and I'm sorry to cut you off, but I think maybe to your point, a lot of black men sometimes subconsciously, I think, where we can be conduits for like the misogyny, we can be conduits for like white patriarchy, is that the beauty that we acknowledge in black women at sometimes can be beauty only associated with European standards sometimes, or like black people and it's so ingrained in us sometimes that we don't realize it, right? Or like the ingrained, like, oh, I want my girl to be exotic, right? Like we have this.
There's a mixture of things going there, because I think that you also have the whole crowd that like only wants to see extremely curvaceous women too, right? Which is just, it's not a European thing, but that's just an unreasonable standard, right? And you have
noticing that, like,
I can talk about this all day, like girls that are literally going and like getting their bodies like just so changed so that they'll like fit some dude's vision of like attractiveness, whether it's a BBL or a boob job or like whatever.
most times all of it, and then it's like black men say, well, like, that's what I want my girl to look like, or like that's realistic, and it's like, I'm sorry, I can only think of it.
Do we ever realize though? And there's a little like mark here at times that I realize, like, for black, I'll give it to black women, but also with black men sometimes. It's like people want us to like have all of this to find us attractive, but then they'll like settle for something that is like not like average. It's like the same. And I just saw like a black gay man posted this on Twitter where he was saying like, like if he dates a black guy, he has to be like a model hot black guy. But if it's a white guy, it's like, all right, whatever. He's got it. And I'm just like, but I've seen that so often. Even with like black men that are like will date a white woman that like, not to objectify people, but that will be like relatively like average, which is, there's nothing wrong with that. But then when it comes to black women, it's like the only way that you'll find a black woman attractive or even look her way is if she looks like she's a freaking like supermodel or like video vixen or something.
Damn,
It's fucked up.
it's deep. It's sad, but you're like, and again, like, there's like complexities, but I feel like we like touched on like a lot of things in this like really dope conversation. And once again, value everybody's time and value the people watching on YouTube. Thank you so much, or listening, whatever you're doing. To patterns. A holiday special. Working title. We're working on it. Victoria, Malcolm, thank you guys like so much.
Thank you.
Like your opinions, everything, just the conversation. Like, thank you guys so much. You guys were so insightful. Really appreciate it. Of course, at Untitled Gems podcast everywhere. What do you guys have, like, real briefly? What do you guys have coming up? Where can people follow you? Like the advertised space starts now, man. Shout it out.
Feather.
What up? You guys can follow me at. I was looking at the camera right.
Yeah, okay. Please. Look at you. You was on it already. I like, don't. You did the thing.
You can follow me on my digital platform at this_is_feather on Instagram, and then my personal page at my full name, Victoria Janelle Wright. So at Victoria Janelle Wright.
It's your boy, Malcolm Mullet. No,
It's your boy.
Thursday.
Glasses come on.
Yeah, so I can be found on all social media at the Malcolm Ali, TheMalcolmAli. I'm performing all the time everywhere. If you're in Hollywood, come check me out at Next Door Lounge.
Yeah,
And,
it's a fire show.
It's a fire show, and look out for some new music. The old music people didn't really pay attention to, but hopefully the second
It's
time
good
around,
though, so peep it.
people
Yeah.
will, or I'll just be like Raven Simone, like, aren't I always in the studio making music that nobody listens to?
I wanna see you backflip for real.
Yeah.
Like, I love some
She had Bob stuff.
Yo, she had bobs. Raven
bobs.
had some bobs. I'm just saying. Well, that wraps it up. Thank you guys so much again. Love y'all.